Yo everyone, welcome to my predictions and breakdown for the entire UFC Fight Night De Ridder vs Allen fight card. And I do want to apologize for the later video. I am trying to catch up since I was unwell sometime last week. And I'm also juggling many things, guys, on top of this, on top of trying to put out these videos regularly, as you guys can see by that, because I've made some new thumbnails for this video. You guys can see them on screen. You guys have clicked on this video as well. Please let me know what you guys think of them. I've made them for now the betting guides and the live streams too, so please tell me. I appreciate you guys' feedback. I read all the comments, and it really does help me to improve the channel. Anyways, guys, before we get into the video, however, I do want to talk about our results for last week's card really quickly for anyone who is curious. We did go 7-5 on picks for UFC Rio, which isn't the greatest. Unfortunately, the underdogs we picked lost, and there were still a few upsets on the card. For some of the bigger fights on the card too, some of the bigger underdogs did win. All of our confident picks for the card did win, which is good to see. You guys can see that on the left side of your screen. They were Bia Mesquita, Vitor Petrina, and Yoel Alvarez. When it comes down to how the bets went though, here on screen are all the bets I had on the card, and some of these bets were added during the live stream, but the majority of the bets were here and were added during the betting guide for UFC Rio. I will now highlight in green all the bets that did cash, and in red all the bets that did not hit. And as you can see, it was a bit of a rougher night for me. Not as bad as it could have been though, but still not the best, guys. We're hoping for a good win, and we're hoping to do better on UFC Vancouver. I will also be posting the full card betting guide video for this card later on this week when the betting lines are fully out. And I'm just reading the script here, guys, but the video will be out probably tomorrow, which is Saturday for me. It'll be Friday for you guys. Please get your subscribers' bets of the week in the comment section. Go into the comment section below. Let me know what your favorite bets are for this card so I can add it to the betting guide. I know it's short notice, guys, but please get the bets in there. It might be a specific bet I like, or even the top comment, of course, on the video. If you think you got a solid bet in mind, please do it, guys. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. It'll help me out if you guys do it on this short notice here. Anyways, guys, to finally jump into the video, I'll be starting with the prelims and working my way all the way to the main event. Timestamps are in the description and the comment section below if you'd like to skip to any fight in particular. We're going to be starting with the first fight of the card, which is Melissa Croden versus Tainara Lisboa. And you know what, guys? Even though I'm getting to this video so late, there is an upside to it, and that good thing is that I've been able to go around and see a few people's opinions on each and every matchup on this card. And for this fight in particular, I did see a lot of people siding with Melissa Croden, who was an underdog, and if you are seeing the odds on screen, she was a plus 135 underdog at one point, but now, as of the time of recording this video, the odds have completely flipped. She's now a full-on favorite going into this fight with Tainara Lisboa, and I don't really know if I agree with a good amount of people here picking Melissa Croden to win her UFC debut. Don't get me wrong though, I'll say this. She is a super tough fighter. She loves to hunt for the finish. She likes to get into the clinch so she can land those vicious knees and elbows. But I just think this is going to be a closer fight. And I don't think anyone should be really an underdog here. And when there is the case of a close fight and there's an underdog and a favorite, I like leaning towards the underdog in a lot of cases because I just like the value that's there, and I like picking underdogs. And Tainara Lisboa has been tested in the UFC. She has won against competition in the UFC and has more experience versing high-level fighters in her career, even if she has lost those fights. Tainara Lisboa has versed Valentina Shevchenko twice back in the day in kickboxing. She has lost to Norma Dumont in her pro career debut, which has aged very well for her, and like I said earlier, she has beaten a couple of people inside the UFC like Ravena Oliveira, who was undefeated before versing Lisboa, and she also has beaten Jessica Rose Clark, but I don't really rate Clark too highly, but she did win that fight very dominantly. This is all to say that there's a good amount of upside in picking Lisboa here, and I haven't even gotten to their fight styles yet, guys. And I personally think, although both girls go to grappling a little in their fights, Lisboa goes to it more often. She's also got more of a submission threat, in my opinion, when it does get to the ground, and I personally think she is going to be the better wrestler here and grappler overall in this fight. But I will add something to that, is that if either girl does end up on bottom position here, it won't be good for them. I believe both girls are good on top position when they're pressing the action, but pretty poor on bottom position in my opinion. I think Melissa will be worse on bottom though, if I had to pick one to be worse here, but it would be bad for them both realistically. Both girls are predominantly strikers anyway, and that's where I think the majority of the fight will stay. And Melissa Croden probably has the advantage in terms of maybe finishing potential on the feet and overall volume in my opinion, but man, she really does have some pretty bad boxing defense, and Lisboa has the better boxing in this matchup in my opinion. Even though it's not amazing though, I do think it's something important to mention, and I think she is the better boxer here. So to end this prediction here, if Lisboa can mix in takedowns, get top control, and mainly keep the striking to closer to mid-range boxing exchanges, I think she can win this fight pretty handedly, in my opinion, because that would be the best possible game plan for her. But I do think that this fight will be closer, potentially split decision territory too. So I will say Lisboa wins 29-28 decision win after some good solid exchanges on the feet, but getting the better of the two when it comes to the ground control in this fight. That's my pick, guys. I'm going with the underdog off the rip here, but very close one though, so I might not put a bet on this fight. We'll have to see. Moving on to Azamat Bekoev versus Yousri Belgaroui. And I will say I am aware of Yousri Belgaroui here. I think I said Yusuf at the start of this, but I know who he is, guys. I know he's versed Adesanya twice in kickboxing, and I know he's versed Pereira 3 times and has beaten Pereira once when they first versed, I'm pretty sure. The guy's solid on the feet. He's very big. He's very big, guys. He's super long. He's very lanky, has a very hard jab and some very nice fast kicks. But in saying all that, he has not really impressed me in his transition to MMA. That's all I really have to say on him. I think he's going to get taken down easy enough in his fights. I think I've seen it before, and I even personally think he hasn't been looking ideal on the feet in his MMA fights, and I know that might be basing this mostly off of his fight against Marco Tulio in the Contender Series, but what I'm saying is the truth, guys. Marco Tulio, although I think the guy is extremely solid on the feet, and I do think he is a guy that will go far in the UFC in this division, he really did outdo Belgaroui in this fight. It wasn't an extremely dominant fight by any means, but he did end up hurting him badly in this fight with a right hand as well over the top, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure I remember the mouthpiece coming out of Belgaroui as Tulio was closing the distance on him. And he not only outdid him on the feet here, Marco Tulio was able to work the clinch and the takedown attempts throughout the whole fight, although his best takedown and his working takedown and control was in the last round here. Azamat Bekoev is a way better wrestler and grappler than Marco Tulio. He's way more relentless when it comes to takedown attempts. He's willing to keep trying for them, and his control, ground and pound, and submissions are all really solid once he gets the fight to the ground. I remember watching Bekoev's fight against Lucas Fernando, I think it was. I believe that's the right fight in the LFA, and he shot so many takedowns, guys. He shot so many. It was like a 5-round fight, and he just kept shooting from the first round to the 5th round. He kept up the pace, but obviously he did slow down somewhat because it was a 5-round fight. But in this fight, it's 3 rounds. He should be able to be explosive enough and fit enough to get Yousri down for 3 rounds if he needs to in this fight to win a decision. But in my opinion, I actually think Azamat Bekoev is going to get Yousri down and ground and pound him and finish him some way, maybe by submission or ground and pound inside the first 2 rounds of this fight. That's my pick, guys. I think I will be putting him in my confident picks list as well, because I really just don't see Yousri being able to handle the takedown attempts well in this fight. And like I said, I think if he gets set down to the ground, I do think Bekoev is good enough to get the finish here, because I think that Belgaroui off his back is going to be like a sitting duck here for Azamat Bekoev. So moving on to Stephanie Luciano versus Ravena Oliveira, and this might be one of the more confident picks I have on this card. Stephanie Luciano should be able to win this fight almost 100% of the time. Ravena Oliveira, guys, she might be 7-2-1 right now, but 5 out of her 10 fights that she's had have been against debuting fighters with a 0-0 record. I've written all these notes, guys. I'm going to read them out to you right now. She even lost to one of those debuting fighters, by the way. That's one of her losses. Another one was against a 1-1 fighter. 2 others were against 0-1 fighters who she actually did draw to one of them, by the way. And then her most recent win before losing her UFC debut pretty dominantly to Tainara Lisboa, who is also on this card, by the way. I'm pretty sure I just said her prediction, was against Simone de Silva, who was 8-5 at the time of winning that fight against her, and I believe she's currently 9-7 as of the time of recording this video, guys. Like, she's really versed no one good at all, except for Lisboa, and she got beaten on the feet and on the ground in that fight. It was a very clear decision win. Stephanie Luciano is going to cook her on the feet in this fight. That's my opinion, guys. I believe that Ravena is not going to want to engage with her in the striking too much here. She's going to try to clinch up a ton and get this fight to the ground at all costs, but I could see a similar thing happening to her, like in her fight with Lisboa, where she's just going to get reversed, and she herself is going to be the one on bottom position under Stephanie Luciano in this fight, because Luciano actually does have decent throws and decent reversals herself. Stephanie Luciano also arguably beat Sam Hughes, guys. That's something I want to mention. She's a pretty solid fighter in the UFC, Sam Hughes is, and I watched that fight recently, and I thought she could have possibly been given rounds 1 and 3, in my opinion. She also beat and drawed with Talita Alencar, who isn't that bad herself, and honestly, I could see both girls beating Ravena Oliveira here. So Stephanie Luciano is the pick, most likely by decision win. I'm putting her in my confident picks list as well. Moving on to Kyle Prepolec versus Drew Dober, and you guys think for a second I'm going to be going against the Giga Chad himself, Drew Dober. You've got another thing coming, guys. I'll say it right now. I've been seeing a lot of people mouthing off about Drew Dober, saying that they just think his chin's gone. They can't trust his durability anymore, and I actually don't agree with that. As crazy as that might sound, even though he's lost a few fights by KO, the reason why I don't agree with it is because they talk about how he's getting cracked a bunch recently. He's lost by KO or stoppage 3 out of his last 5 fights recently, but let me ask you guys a question here. Who is Drew Dober losing to, guys, and who is cracking him on the chin? Because if I remember correctly, guys, Manuel Torres cracked him on the chin. He's an extremely dangerous dude who in the first round is the most dangerous and has insane KO power overall. Then it's Gene Silva, maybe the hardest hitting featherweight behind Diego Lopez. Then it's Matt Frevola, who actually hits quite hard, guys, who's got great finishes. I'll say that again. And that fight was arguably an early stoppage too, because Drew Dober was still in it, but I will say, though, that I do personally agree with the stoppage. I'll say that. I'll even add another fight for you guys as well, where Drew was dropped, but came back to win that fight, which was the Terrence McKinney fight, who is a first-round finishing machine by KO or submissions. It doesn't matter. Terrence is a finishing machine. He's not just getting cracked, guys. Drew's just not just getting cracked. He's getting cracked by the hardest hitting fighters in the division, arguably too. So I'm going to believe in his durability still here, just like I believed in Charles's durability still after being dropped and finished by Topuria. I'm going to go with Drew Dober to win this fight, most likely by KO, because I believe these boys are going to scrap at some point in time in this fight, just like Drew always seems to do in his fights, and just like Prepolec's last fight with Saint Denis. Prepolec is arguably not even UFC level, guys. So if they do get into a scrap, I think he's slower than Dober. He's a way worse boxer than Dober. He's also lost in the UFC. He was in the UFC before, by the way, guys. If you didn't know, I know they said he made his debut, but he was in the UFC before. He lost to Austin Hubbard and Nordine Taleb, I believe it was. And I just think Drew Dober's the pick here, guys. I can't pick Prepolec, but I also don't think Prepolec should be as big of an underdog as he is. He's a plus 400 underdog right now, which is pretty crazy, but I do think that Dober gets it done here. I don't think his chin is completely gone, in my opinion. Moving on to Danny Barlow versus Jourdain Santos. And this one feels like a pretty confident one in my pick books here, because Danny Barlow should be able to win this fight against Jourdain Santos very easily. Danny Barlow is going to be the way better striker overall technically here, and the dude is moving up from the welterweight division here, so we know he will have that lighter man skill, guys, if you know what I'm talking about here. But even though I know Danny Barlow got knocked out by Sam Patterson in his last fight at welterweight, we've come to know a few things about that fight. One is that Sam Patterson has been crushing it overall, and maybe I shouldn't have underestimated him as much as I did against Danny Barlow when the fight took place originally. The guy's gone on to sleep Trey Waters in the first round as well. He's proven he's the real deal, which means the loss hasn't aged too poorly. Secondly, Danny Barlow really was doing well against Patterson before he got finished. He made Patterson eat some massive shots in that first round of that fight. I think Danny Barlow's still really good here, guys. I think he's just really good in general. That's all I'm really going to say about it. I thought maybe he would be a little too small to go up a weight class muscle-wise in the middleweight division. I think there's a lot of big middleweights. But then I do remember the fact that he did miss weight against his fight, I believe, with Nikolai Veretennikov, so he must be struggling to cut more weight. So I believe he's probably wanting to fill out a little bit more. He's going to be the bigger and rangier guy too in this matchup, which is something I do want to mention, even though he's moving up a weight class. He's going to be the way faster guy here too, guys. That's probably the most important thing because Danny Barlow is just so fast in general, and I think that Jourdain Santos was getting outsped by Aussie Diaz. I don't think he's very fast at all. I could see Danny Barlow getting the knockout here sometime inside the first 2 rounds. That's what I see personally happening. Of course, though, after a rough knockout loss, everyone gets worried about someone's chin going into the fight. It's like I said about the last fight with Drew Dober, but I just think that Sam Patterson hits harder than a lot of people think, guys. And I also think that moving up a weight class is usually better for your chin than staying at a lower weight class, dehydrating yourself with a rough weight cut. So Danny Barlow's the pick here, guys. I'm going to go with him to get it done by knockout. I do feel very confident in it as well. I'm going to put him in my confident picks list as an addition. Moving on to Bruno Silva versus Hyun Sung Park. And this is a tricky one for me, guys. I can't really lie to you about this. I've been watching fight tape. This is a super close one to me pick-wise. And maybe when we actually watch the fight, someone does wipe the floor with the other, but we will never know until the fight actually does take place, guys. I'll have no idea until it actually happens. But whenever it is neck and neck, I tend to favor the underdog because I do like the value. I said this in this video. And Bruno Silva's a plus 200 underdog here, guys, and I don't agree with that at all, in my opinion. He's super dangerous everywhere. He's very hard to submit overall, and the dude has only lost the top-level competition in the UFC, and we just watched Hyun Sung Park get absolutely decimated by Tatsuro Taira. And this is granted, I will say this, he did take that fight on extremely short notice, but I can't act like I didn't see that he was just absolutely dominated and had no success in that fight whatsoever with Taira. And the thing is, both guys in this fight are actually quite similar here. They both hit relatively hard, in my opinion. I'd probably give the power advantage to Bruno Silva slightly, though. They both are well-rounded guys too. They both can submit you or KO you, and they both have a very similar weakness, and that's because they're both very hittable guys. That's their weakness, in my opinion, which has been a problem for both of them. But obviously, it's been more of a glaring issue for Silva because he's been versing better competition and guys that can exploit a weakness like that. They can really take advantage of him more than other guys that Hyun Sung Park has actually versed. I think in this fight, if Hyun Sung Park doesn't go out there and show us his high level here and dominate Bruno Silva, most likely by dominating him with the grappling, by the way, that's probably his best chance to victory, we could possibly see a very close fight here, and we could also possibly see someone getting KO'd here if it does get scrappy, and that really does make me feel like leaning more towards Bruno Silva in my mind. So for that reason, I think I'm going to slightly lean towards the sizable underdog in Bruno Silva to get it done. But if anything can happen here, guys, like anything can happen in this fight, maybe a good bet for this fight is possibly the Silva plus 3.5 round bet, since I find it hard to imagine Park finishing Silva because I don't think he's going to get the submission on him. I think Silva's got pretty good defense grappling-wise. So to me, guys, I do feel like this fight is where Park is going to need to prove himself here, and until I see that he can prove himself against tough competition like Bruno Silva, I feel like Bruno Silva is a very live underdog here, and I will pick him to win this fight. Moving on to Charles Jourdain versus Davey Grant, and how many times are they gonna doubt dangerous Davey Grant here, guys? Like, I've done it, guys. I've been one to doubt him. I'm sure many others have done it as well. The dude's crushing it in my mind. Like, he arguably should be on a 6-fight win streak. He arguably beat Daniel Marcos, and he arguably beat Adrian Yanez as well when they fought. And he's coming off one of the most impressive wins of his career in my mind, beating Damon Blackshear very clearly. The Unk's still got it, guys. He's still got it. They've made him an underdog again, which is just crazy. And the funny thing is that I really do like Charles Jourdain. I will say that. He seems like a funny dude. I followed him a good amount on social media posts. But I think I'm gonna bloody pick Davey Grant as an underdog again to get a decision win here. And it just feels like this has been like the year of the older fighters getting wins to me. And Davey has not shown me that he's very clearly beatable by even higher level guys in the UFC. And Charles has struggled with guys who stick and move in the past, and I know Davey has he's also struggled a little bit too with guys that stick and move, and both guys do have that sort of style, but Davey has also shown me that he's got an ability to like snowball volume as the fight goes on, and I really do like that. And I think the earlier rounds might be the more dangerous rounds for him. He's probably going to have to stuff some potential takedown attempts, maybe be safe of any jump submission attempts like the guillotine, because Charles Jourdain really has a great guillotine. And if he does manage to stay safe, I think I can see him squeak out another 29-28 decision victory for himself here. So I am going to pick another underdog here, guys. This is still a very close fight here, and I do like Charles Jourdain. Don't get me wrong. I like him as a fan a lot. So if he does win this fight, I will still be relatively happy here. So moving on to the main card now, Carl Nelson versus Matt Frevola. And this is like, it's just great, guys. Like, we're starting off with a fight that feels like a pretty hard one to pick on the main card. Both guys are coming off of KO losses. Frevola's coming off of 2 back-to-back KO losses, 2 against Benoit Saint-Denis and against Perez Ziam. Very high-level opponents, by the way. And Carl Nelson is also coming off the KO loss to Steve Garcia, who's also quite high-level opponent for him. And he was actually unfortunate in that fight. If I remember correctly, I watched it recently too, because he got hit in the back of the head by an elbow, which did lead to the finish, guys. It was a big contributor. It was completely accidental, though, but it's still something very important to note and something very important to remember. But in my opinion, for this fight, guys, I think it's going to get scrappy here at some point in time, and I think someone is going to get knocked out here. That's how I see it going. I think Matt Frevola might be the better guy to do that job if I had to pick one, and I also think he likes to use his wrestling in fights, and I think that would also be a very solid avenue for him to explore here. But I also think that Carl Nelson is probably the more durable fighter here if I had to name one, and I don't know how Frevola will go with scrappy exchanges, since both of his KO losses were some of the most brutal KOs I've ever seen in my entire time watching the sport. And I just don't know if his chin's the same. I've said the same thing about durability about other guys who've got KO'd, but these were some of the worst KOs I've ever seen. But something I will say that I do like is that he did take a year off, which is great. It's awesome to take proper recovery time, and Nelson has done the same. I believe they've both taken a year off, but we just don't know the durability of both guys yet. I'm going to lean towards Frevola here. I think he's just a bit more technical and dangerous as a fighter. I also think that Carl Nelson is moving up from featherweight, and we will have to see how he does in his lightweight debut here. He is big enough, though, for it. I believe he's tall enough. He's going to be the taller fighter here, too. But we will have to see how he handles it physicality-wise, guys, in my opinion, and cardio-wise, too, with the extra weight on him. Matt Frevola is the pick. Close one, though, in my opinion. Moving on to Cody Gibson versus Aori Qileng. And, man, this is another one. Who can I pick in this sort of fight? Like, I fully expect, I'll tell you guys right now, whatever happens, I think this fight is just going to end up being an absolute scrap of, like, the highest proportion here, since that really is how both of these guys do fight their fights. But who is going to come out on top is the question here. Most likely, this fight will go to decision. I don't think both guys are going to get a finish here. I think it's going to be a close decision here in a scrap. 29-28 to one of the guys here. Split decision, like I said. I really do think it's going to be a close one. That's how I'm going to see it. This is going to be a toughie to pick, guys. If I do prefer anyone, I probably prefer Aori Qileng more so on the feet from a technical standpoint, but he does get hit quite a lot. So does Gibson, though. He also gets hit quite a lot, but in terms of the ground game, like who's more likely to shoot, it's 100% on the side of Gibson, in my opinion, and I do see him mixing in takedowns in this fight because that is his game, and that's how he likes to pressure opponents. So because of that, I might end up slightly leaning towards Cody Gibson here because of the grappling upside and the potential for this fight to end by submission if he does snatch something up. But I really think this is going to be a close one, guys. I can't stress that enough. I think I've repeated that many times at the start of this prediction. I'm going to be picking Cody Gibson very slightly. Moving on to Manon Fiorot versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. And I'm going to make a very quick pick here and go with Manon Fiorot. And the reason why I'm picking her so quickly is just because this feels like this is a big step up from some of the fighters that Jasmine Jasudavicius has beaten up till this point. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Jasmine a lot. Jasmine's fantastic with her grappling. She will be the better grappler going into this fight. And if this fight ever does get to the ground, guys, that will be the scariest time for someone who's picking Manon Fiorot like myself. But Manon Fiorot is just so physical, guys. She's shown she's really hard to take down. She's hard to submit, and she's hard to progress on in terms of dominant position when you do manage to get her down to the ground. She's strong, she's great on her feet in this division, and she arguably beat Shevchenko, which is something I don't agree with personally. I'm just saying it as a point that it could have arguably gone to her. I wouldn't have been super upset if it did go to her. I did pick Shevchenko as an underdog in that fight, but it was really close when I watched it live, guys. Shevchenko failed many takedowns in that fight against her, and I think the same thing is just going to happen in this fight against Jasmine Jasudavicius, except Manon Fiorot is going to be able to piece her up on the feet here. And I don't see Jasmine having much success on the feet like Shevchenko in this fight. I think Manon Fiorot's going to win a clear decision victory here. 30-27, 29-28, maybe if Jasmine gets around or takes her down at some point. This is a very tough one for Jasmine here, but I wouldn't say it's unwinnable, guys. Like I said, if she manages to somehow get her to the ground potentially, or just out-volume her potentially on the feet even here, I think she could make this one closer, but I think she would have to be very careful on the feet to do that, and it's tough to see her getting the takedown here. That's my prediction for this fight. Moving on to the feature fight of the card in Marlon Vera versus Ayman Zahabi. And this is a very tough one for me because, listen, there's a lot of close, tough fights to pick on this card. I've said it many times. I think we all know that Ayman Zahabi has more momentum here. He's on his win streak, and although he's 37 years of age, he's looking very solid right now, and he obviously has a great team. He's got a great coach, great corner. His brother is Faraz Zahabi, well-known mind in this game, guys, and Ayman Zahabi is coming off of that really close decision victory against Jose Aldo, which is the biggest win of his career too, guys, and of course, he arguably lost that fight, and I know that, and the dude was hurt bad, but like I said, he managed to rally back in that fight and almost finish Aldo in the third round, so you got to respect that. He's crazy. He's crazy good. He's got crazy heart. And it almost feels like out of principle here, I have to go with Ayman Zahabi here. Like Cheeto has been versing nothing but killers though. I still respect the dude a lot. And I think I'm going to auto lock in a Cheeto Vera plus 3.5 round bet as long as the odds are good, because of how close this fight really does feel on paper to me. And if anyone does get a finish here, I don't see Ayman Zahabi finishing Cheeto. I see Cheeto finishing him. Like, Vera's just too durable, guys. I can never see him getting finished here, and he's way too dangerous. And I just hate doubting him here. Like, he shouldn't be doubted as much as he is in this fight. Ayman Zahabi is the pick, though. I'm going to be picking him to win this fight with a similar reason as a lot of people. I'm sure of it. I've seen a few people talk about this, and that's because I do expect him to do well with the game planning for Vera, and I think he's going to be scraping out a decision victory here. And even if it is close and somehow, like, maybe you think Vera is going to win this fight by decision, I think this fight is in Canada, and if they lean towards anyone, it's probably a Canadian in Canada, if you guys know what I'm saying. So, quick pick here, guys. Moving on to the co-main event now, Kevin Holland versus Mike Malott. And I'll say this, if Kevin pulls this crap off again, after losing to D-Rod, like, I don't even know what to say about him anymore. The dude seems to win fights that I think he's going to lose, and then he loses fights I think he's going to win, guys. So, it makes it very tough to pick Kevin Holland sometimes in his fights, and I'll start off this prediction by saying this. I have a feeling we're going to see a little bit of a safer fight early on, potentially by Mike Malott here, and what I mean by that is that I think he's going to keep this fight on the feet the majority of the time, especially early on in this fight. I think he's going to be waiting for Kevin to engage here. He's going to be kick heavy here, maybe kicking the calves of Holland a lot here, maybe tries to counter him and hurt him with the boxing combination on the feet, but that's how I see the fight going, guys. Like I said, it's tough to pick Kevin Holland. I potentially could even see, like, Mike Malott even catching Kevin Holland off guard with, like, a takedown attempt as he's backing up Mike Malott here in this fight, because I think, like I said, Mike Malott's probably going to take it easy. He's going to play a safer fight here in this fight. And then Mike Malott's going to potentially soften Kevin up on the ground with ground and pound. Maybe first and second round goes this way. And since I think this sequence of events does happen, and it could happen a couple of times, I believe that Mike Malott might end up getting a submission finish from top position in rounds 2 or 3 here. I think he's just a really solid grappler, and although I think Holland is harder to push around in the grappling at welterweight, I think Mike Malott is strong enough and good enough to do so, and I also think he's a lot better on the feet than I gave him credit for originally. Like, his KO over Radke really did open my eyes to him a little bit more, and he's impressed me there, in my opinion. I also think he was crushing Neil Magny, in my opinion, right up until he got finished, guys, so there is that too. And this is something that I forgot halfway through this prediction, but man, like Kevin Holland looked really, really bad against Daniel Rodriguez, and that's something I still can't get out of my mind, guys. And even he almost finished D-Rod in that fight. I remember that fight, but he was also finished himself pretty much by D-Rod, and I think he should be beating D-Rod easily with his skill set, guys. Very, very easily, in my opinion. Mike Malott would destroy D-Rod, in my opinion. I'm picking Mike Malott here by submission in rounds 2 and 3. That's my official prediction for this fight, but this is a Kevin Holland fight. And now that I've picked him to lose, he's going to win, guys. That's how it works. We shall see, though, come fight night. Moving on to the main event of the evening now, Reinier De Ridder versus Brendan Allen. And as much as I want to draw out this prediction, guys, give you guys a long explanation for this fighter pick, I honestly don't think I even need to, because I will tell you right off rip, I am going to be picking Reinier De Ridder to win this fight, and I'm going to pick him to win rather confidently too. He's going to be in my confident picks list as an addition. Although Brendan Allen had a fun fight with Marvin Vettori recently, I've just seen too many mistakes from him in quite a few of his fights for me to pick him to win this fight. It was even including the Vettori win. It's just that I don't think he's going to win this fight if he makes those same mistakes, guys, or even anywhere near those types of mistakes. And not only that, I actually don't think he's going to avoid being finished if he makes a mistake like he's made in those fights. I think Reinier De Ridder is going to be able to get close in this fight with Brendan Allen, exactly how he's done in every single fight he's had in his entire career. I think he's going to start working Brendan Allen in the clinch in this fight. I think Brendan potentially might be able to do better in the clinch-wise than Whittaker even, which is probably crazy to say for a few people, but I do think so. I even think that Brendan Allen might be able to find some takedowns or go for them during those exchanges in the clinch, but the amount of times I've seen Brendan Allen mess up grappling exchanges as a high-level grappler himself is concerning, and Reinier De Ridder is not the guy you want any sort of dominant position over you, guys. You do not want the guy on top of you, especially with how big and strong he is for the division. Like, I'll give you guys examples, like if you guys want to know, because at the start of this video, I said that Brendan Allen makes quite a lot of mistakes, so I'll explain them now. I've written them down here. Go look at Brendan Allen's fights throughout his career, recent fights, or like many fights that he's had. Chris Curtis managed to reverse position on Brendan Allen in round 3 of their second fight together. It was their rematch after being taken down, if I remember that correctly, guys. I've written it down here. Even in their first fight, he gave up top position, trying to leg lock Chris Curtis, like terrible decision making. Then Nassourdine Imavov, when he fought Brendan Allen, he was literally sprawling. Like, I'm talking Brendan Allen was going for these takedowns. Nassourdine Imavov was sprawling really, really well. And then Brendan Allen was still just like, he was just diving down. He was burying his head in the canvas, and he pretty much just was waiting to lose the fight doing that. I don't know why he was doing it. Then you move on. You go Brendan Allen's fight even against Marvin Vettori, which was his most recent fight. And I don't know if people remember, but he literally had the back and slipped off of back control, giving Marvin top position in the first round, guys. Like, in the first round. Like, this should never be happening if you are dry. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a high-level grappler, you shouldn't be fumbling these positions and jumping for things that you think couldn't go your way like that. Like, you should be locking this up. I don't see grapplers in the lower weight class happening to them. I don't see that happening to Pantoja at all. You know what I mean, guys? So these are just mistakes that I see from Brendan Allen. I see Reinier De Ridder dominating this fight, guys. I like, just with these mistakes that happen, my official prediction is actually going to be Reinier De Ridder by KO in rounds 2 or 3 by body shots. That's my personal prediction. I think he hurts Brendan Allen to the body in this fight with step-in knees that he does love doing. We see them all the time. We saw him against Whittaker. He actually hurt Whittaker to the body in that fight. I could also see him doing better in the grappling exchanges if this does go to the ground. Even if he does get taken down, I think he's just going to do better overall. I think he's better everywhere, in my opinion. Maybe not in the boxing. I think Brendan Allen might be a better boxer, but I just think he's better overall. I think he gets the KO here. I think the KO is more likely than a submission, but he could get both, guys. He's just really good. He's really good, no matter how awkward he looks or how bad he looks, guys. Like, he knows how to win, and he's massive for the division. He's got great cardio too. Like, how can you not side with Reinier De Ridder here? That's my prediction for the main event, guys. And that wraps up my full card predictions and breakdown for the entire UFC Fight Night, De Ridder vs. Allen fight card. And if you guys have any thoughts for me regarding the card or regarding anything in general, if you guys want to leave any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I do read all of them. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time.